Well, hello, welcome back to the Hotel Orloff, ladies and gentlemen. It's once again Friday, July the 7th, 8th, something like that. I think it's the 8th. But we're having fun here, waiting for Donald Trump's speech in Council Bluffs, Iowa. So we're watching that, we're monitoring that on Right Side Broadcasting. And last episode we were talking about Vampirella, a great comic magazine from Warren Publishing from the 1970s, and that caused me to remember that there was also a series of paperbacks that came out. So I might have the whole series, I'm not sure. This is one of them. Let's get into the light. I think we were talking about this on the Four Color Fossil show, but anyway, this is Vampirella. Light's not ideal. By Ron Goulart from Warner Books, $1.25. See, it's someone was asking, is it comic strips inside? No, it's actually a novel. They used to put these little inserts into the paperbacks for cigarettes back then. Based on the Vampirella comic magazines from Warren. This is, I think, the first one, since it doesn't have a number on it. Let's see. This one's number 3. The beautiful but deadly siren from the stars battles the evil of voodoo and the undead of the earth. And it says soon to be a major motion picture. That motion picture never happened. So that's 1 and 3, I think. I thought I had all of them. Here's number 5. So there were at least 5 of these. Again, soon to be a major motion picture. I don't know what these go for now on the collector's market as far as price goes. I think I've got more. Let me kind of dig through. Here's Edgar Rice Burroughs' The Cave Girl. That's a Frank Frazetta cover. Here's the Addams Family novelization. Man. This is one of the great Mad paperbacks. Shoot. Oh, here's another one. Here's number 2. On Alien Wings. Soon to be a major motion picture. So that means I've got 1, 2, 3, and 5. And I'm sure if I look hard enough, I would find number 4 here somewhere. This War as I Knew It by General George S. Patton Jr. And here's a Douglas MacArthur book. Now here's a Red Sonja paperback, which again is text. So you see, this is a Marvel Conan paperback that actually has color Barry Smith art inside it, or as he's called now, Barry Windsor Smith. Here's a Famous Monsters paperback. How about that? It's just paperbacks were just another way of getting your stuff to the people, right? The Towering Inferno was based on 2 books. One was called The Glass Inferno. The other one was called, I think, The Tower, wasn't it? And they got the rights to both novels and kind of combined them into a new script. Here's Kurt Vonnegut Jr., Slaughterhouse-Five. Oh, look at this. I forgot I had this. Look, it's in Everything's Archie paperback. Now this is actual comic strips inside of it. just Archie comics without the color. Paperbacks are a whole nother thing that you could start collecting. Cracked even tried to do paperbacks. The king of the paperbacks, though, was of course Mad. Here's a kind of a Sheena appearance on the cover, Swinging Mad. So that's something Jumbo will need to get a copy of this if he doesn't already have it. Jumbo being a collector of jungle comics. Yes. Hold on a second. Oh, I got 2 copies of this Red Sonja book. There's another one. And there's book 2, Demon Knight. It's a novelization of Land of the Giants. Well, we were in the middle of something last time. We're getting distracted. We were in the middle of looking at the very last issues of Vampirella, the magazine. So let's go upstairs and look at those and come back down and keep watching Right Side Broadcasting, because Trump's going to start talking in less than an hour. So let's go on upstairs, man. Where we will blow our minds. Sounds like Drew is just waking up upstairs, which is strange because usually she's down here by now. She's it's already like 12, almost 12:30, and Drew has not come down to eat her breakfast yet. What is going on with that pooch? Yes, indeed. Well, did I just say this? I might go live around 4 o'clock p.m. Central. We'll see. There's Drew coming down the stairs. We're going up, she's coming down. There you are, Drew. You just now waking up. What's up with you, man? It's un-American to wake up after noon. That's how they do it in communist countries. Let's see. Let's finish looking at Vampirella. And then move on. Oh, Pete the cat's sitting in the chair where I was going to sit. Can I sit with you, Pete the cat? Do you mind? He's not moving, so I guess he doesn't mind. How about that, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, Vampirella. Last episode that I filmed this morning, I went through my Vampirella collection. I don't know where I left off. I'll start over with this box. Vampirella, this is from August 1980, number 89. The Warren magazines all died off. What was it, about 82? Vampirella, number 90. I think, we'll see, there's 91. Again, all Star Wars stuff on the back. Here's a bad condition copy of 94. So people with grubby hands, you know, they would handle these books and then some of the ink would come off. People that, you know, filthy swines. Again, all Star Wars ads in the back. Instead of the wonderful monsters that I loved, but it's not that I hate Star Wars. Again, no offense. It's just who is this artist? I've forgotten his name. Delando Nino. And the author's Michael Fleischer. Michael Fleischer's a good writer. He was the Jonah Hex guy. Oh my gosh, they're stabbing this. Yeah, sometimes there was some really grotesque violence in these books. Who's this artist here? That's kind of a different look for Vampirella. Let's see. It's got like a superhero stuff going on here. Let's see. This is Rudy Nebris. Yeah. So, Vampirella. In the Last Days, 94. So that was 91. I'm missing a lot of issues, you know. I thought I had more of a complete collection, but I really don't. Did I show you this one? Oh, this is 95. This is the next issue. Yeah, Star Wars. Well, at least you could get a skull glow kit. But then everything else, and they had monster masks. Get all these back issues of Vampirella. They're still selling the Vampirella Aurora model kit. They still had some of those in stock. Oh, and they've got some monster makeup. They're starting to get more monster stuff back in to the back, to the Captain Company ads. Oh, and you get all these 8mm little short film versions of the Grand Tree Lawrence 1966 Marvel Superheroes cartoons. Let's see, so 94, 95. There's not much light up here, but I don't want to take this box downstairs right now. Here's 96. No one realized it at that point. We just thought all these Warren magazines would go on forever, but they didn't. I think this cover is a reprint of an earlier cover. I could have sworn we looked at that cover in the last episode. What are we up to now? 101. One. 02. Yeah, this is some of these stories are reprints, clearly. Okay, 102. Yeah, it's really raining outside. 103. That's the only underwater cover I remember of Vampirella. 104. Missing 105. Here's 106. Oh, they're selling the Mego 12-inch action figures. Okay. Interesting way to sell them with these drawings. 109, 100-page Summer Spectacular. 112, 2 Vampy Tales. Oh, by this time E.T. had come out. E.T., you know, no one talks about E.T. anymore. Isn't that strange? Yeah, that was like one of the biggest things in the world. Look at that beautiful paint drawing there. Yeah, this Gonzalo Mayo is a great Vampirella artist that doesn't get talked about as much as other artists. Yeah. This is like was Torpedo 1936 was in like an Italian or French or something strip that it looks like they just put into here, because I've seen graphic novels of that. Here's and then they've got a lot of these are reprints. This is Jose Gonzalez, also known as Pepe Gonzalez, that art there. This is March of 1983. I was just about to graduate from high school when this came out. Have you guys had lunch, man? What did you guys eat for lunch? Okay, 112. It's too dark in here, man. I need to turn on some more lights. 109. What? 109. That's 112. Oh, that was the last issue. 112 was the last issue of Vampirella. But this one's out of order. This one's issue 93. I gotta get that in order. 99. That was the last issue that Warren put out. It was 112 of Vampirella. Okay, so then a little bit of time passed, and Vampirella, that was March of 1983, and then in man, the lighting, come on, man. I believe that says 1988. A new issue just magically comes out. And it looks like another Warren issue, but it isn't. This is actually the first Harris issue. And this, if you get it slabbed, I think it sells for a couple $100, this issue. I bought this off the newsstand. There's a couple of stress marks here, but otherwise this is in pretty great. I saw a 9.2 was slabbed at mycomicshop.com, and it was going for like $1,200. I don't think it would get a 9.2 with those. Well, those aren't color breaking. I'm sure that I caused that at some point because I bought this off the rack, so it's in good shape because I treat books well, except for not having a backing board, you know. Anyway, that's a pricey book because it was I guess it had low distribution. Here's an issue of the Panther stories. Now, last time I was talking about, there was this jungle girl named Luana that was in an issue of Vampirella, and there was a Frazetta cover. And I was trying to figure out the Luana. I looked it up since I did the last episode. So Luana was like an Italian jungle girl movie from 1968. It's like a G-rated jungle movie, and then in 1972 they were going to release it in the United States 4 years later. And I think it's Italian, but I think it might have been filmed in the Philippines or something. Might have Filipino actors in it. I don't know. Anyway, they're bringing it to the States. They're going to release it. So they get Frank Frazetta to do a couple of really cool paintings. There's two different paintings that he did for that movie when it was being released in the States. Okay. And then they hire, man, who was it they hired? They hired, I'm losing my memory, but they hired this guy to do a novelization of the movie. Because back then they always had a paperback companion that came out for a movie. And they gave him the script, but it was written in Italian, so he couldn't translate that. So then they showed him the movie, but the movie was in Italian, so he could kind of see what's going on in the movie, but how am I going to write a novelization when I can't understand what they're saying? So basically he just wrote an original story for the novelization. I think it was Lester Del Rey or one of those guys that wrote a lot of those books back. That may be not even the right name. It wasn't Ron Goulart. It was somebody. Look it up. I'll tell you next time if it matters. Anyway, so they must have then had Warren do a story about Luana and Vampirella to try to cross-promote that movie that no one's ever heard of. But you can see it on YouTube. It's available on YouTube. But anyway, this was a character that first appeared in Vampirella. I think what this is just a collection of her adventures from Vampirella magazine, collected into this magazine. Pantha. That's I think what this is. Okay, and then there would always be these magazines that would come out to capitalize on movies that are out. So this Ring of the Warlords, that's a painting that was on the cover of, I think, Creepy or Eerie, one of the two. But anyway, at this point, Lord of the Rings came out. Not the one that you know, but the animated Lord of the Rings by Ralph Bakshi. Ralph Bakshi in 78, I think, Lord of the Rings came out. And he put out an animated version, and it was the first book and a half. It was Fellowship of the Ring and half of Two Towers, and then it ended on a cliffhanger, and then the second part was going to come out. It would finish up Two Towers and Return of the King, but the first one didn't make enough money or whatever, it wasn't successful, so there was never they never finished it. But before Bakshi did that, I think a year later there was a Rankin Bass made-for-TV cartoon of The Hobbit. And when it was clear that Bakshi wasn't going to go ahead and finish, then the Rankin Bass people made a movie of Return of the King, and that was with the same, art style as The Hobbit was, and that was a TV movie. And so I guess there, you have the animated version from one person of The Hobbit, and then you have the Bakshi version of the first book and a half, and then you just have to skip the second half of the second book, and then you've got Return of the... until the live action movies were made. So those were in the night. Were those in the night or early 2000s? Seemed like it was a couple of decades before the live action ones came out. Anyway, they thought, well, Warren must have thought that Lord of the Rings was going to be a hit, the Bakshi version. So he calls this Ring of the Warlords just a one shot, and it's just a collection of stories that are kind of like Lord of the Rings, that have fairies or centaurs or wizards from... This is a Wally Wood story that I showed you this in Vampirella. These are all from either Creepy, Eerie, or Vampirella. They're just reprints. But it's there to cash in on people thinking, oh, that must be about Lord of the Rings. I saw that in the theater. I'll pick up Ring of the Warlords. And then when Raiders of the Lost Ark came out, they came out with Rex Havoc, Raiders of the Fantastic. And Rex Havoc was an adventure strip that was in 1984, but it was really, and it was, it's pretty close to R-rated. I think what they did in this is they cleaned up the language and maybe changed it up a bit, and they basically sold this as like a Raiders of the Lost Ark magazine. I think that this strip, Rex Havoc, had appeared in this magazine that Warren put out called 1984. Here, this may be my only issue of Comics International, #1. I was telling you about this. It's a magazine that was put out. I don't know how it was distributed. The covers are thicker, like cardboard, and I've never seen another one. The artwork in here is all Richard Corbin, beautiful Richard Corbin color art. These are probably the stories, they would have color stories in Creepy, Eerie, and Vampirella in the center, and a lot of times they'd be Richard Corbin art, and I think this collects a lot of the Corbin stories from these are all I'm pretty sure these are all reprints, but it's just if I have another one of this, it's in a different box. But that's Comics International. It says 10 all-color super special stories by Rich Corbin. And I think there were about 4 or 5 issues of that. Then they put out this magazine, 1984. And it's before 1984, you know. But this magazine was made to compete with heavy metal, so they tried to make these stories more adult. And by adult, I mean the opposite of adult. They just tried to cram them with as much naughty stuff as possible, and it was kind of. I mean, they could have made this great. The art's great. It's just it's very. Just you feel like you need to take a shower after you read it. This one had at a certain point they changed it to 1994 because 1984 was a date in the future. Then it got to be 1984 and they changed the title. But this is a Richard Corbin cover. So she's this robot killer, and it's the opposite. You know, you've got the guy clinging to her leg, and instead of the girl that's always like clinging to Conan's leg, and she's all these famous movie robots that she's just pounded the heck out of. You know, Gort and R2-D2, and oh, there's Yul Brynner from Westworld, and the Lost in Space robot, the Metropolis robot, Robbie the robot. It's a great cover. This one is obviously they're trying to sell this as, you know, Battlestar Galactica and Star Wars combined into Galactic Wars comics. And what it is just a bunch of issues from, a bunch of stories from Creepy and Eerie that kind of sort of feel like Star Wars stories, I guess. And then they have some text stories from Famous Monsters about Battlestar Galactica, and there's some great art, and it's just a reprint comic. I doubt it's worth much. It's just another example of James Warren trying to take advantage of whatever's in the current popularity, whatever's currently popular. Okay, this is the new magazine called Vampirella Carmilla that is coming out now. This is a current magazine, and it's from Warrant. It's a Warrant magazine instead of Warren, and that's their version of Vampirella. They call her Vampirella Carmilla, and they're trying to make this feel like it's 1970 again, and you're buying vintage. I don't have all of them. I have some of them. Most comic stores don't carry this because this only appeals to a very select market, which are people about my age that remember the original. And I don't know, Kevin Johnson, the owner and proprietor of Gotham City Comics in Mesa, Arizona, started getting some in, and he usually holds a copy for me, and I have to get it mail order. But it's very much looks like the Vampirella. The art design, they're very meticulous about making this look like old Warren magazines. So it is impressive what they're doing. Meanwhile, the people that actually own the rights